This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad.
Live in gratitude. There were two beggars who sought alms in the streets of a big city. Their daily route allowed them to pass the palace of the king, who always made sure that they got bread. One of the beggars thanked the king for his generosity, but others thanked God for having given the king the power and the means with which to help his subjects. This irked the king, and he told the beggar, "Why is it that when I am generous to you, you thank someone else for it?" The beggar answered, "If God were not generous to you, you would have nothing to give me." The king decided to teach him a lesson. He ordered his cook to bake 2 loaves of bread and hide some jewels in one of them, and to make sure that the beggar who used to thank him gets this special loaf. In this way, the beggar who only thanks God would regret why he did not thank him. But when the man who used to thank him got the bread with jewels, he noticed that it was heavier than usual. This implied that it had been poorly baked, so he swapped it with his companion and went on separate ways. When the beggar who always thanked God began to eat his bread, he found the gems inside it and thanked God that now he would no longer have to beg for alms. After some time, the king noticed the beggar who used to thank him still remained poor and kept coming back to the palace. So he asked him, "What did you do with the special loaf of bread handed out to you some time ago?" The beggar said, "When I felt it was heavy, I thought it was poorly baked, so I exchanged it with the bread of my fellow beggar." Then the king understood why the other beggar had thanked God and not him. God is the source of our supply, and we must be grateful to Him. We can show our gratitude not only by saying thanks to Him, but by being happy with what He gives us. It is like the story of a father who one day gave her daughter a gift. The little girl was surprised and so happy that she jumped for joy. She liked her toy so much and had been longing to have it for a while. After letting her awe sink in, she remembered that it was her father's birthday. "Why do you give me a gift? It is your birthday. I should be the one giving you gift," she said. The father's reply was, "Darling, you already did. You have given me the best gift of all, and that is to see you happy." The secret of a blissful life is to learn to appreciate our every blessing. David said, "Bless the Lord, my soul. Do not forget all the gifts of God." Unfortunately, we are so used to see our cup half empty rather than half full. We often see what we lack instead of what we have. If we want to attract good things to come to us, we must learn to focus on the good things that we have and not on what others have. Otherwise, we will only be envious of them and be bitter with our own lives. We often hear the word bless. This word can be used equivocally. It can mean ask or invoke God's favor, praise, worship, honor, venerate, and reverence. It could also mean endow with or bestow with favor and grace. And lastly, it can mean give thanks or be grateful for. Bruce Wilkinson, in his book The Prayer of Jabez, used the word bless as an acronym. B for beseech God's blessing. Every day, we have to ask God to bless us so that everything we do may always begin with Him and through Him reach its completion. When we get up in the morning, the first thing that we should do is to ask God to bless us. Second, L, or at least God's blessing. It is so easy for us to be forgetful. If we write down our blessings, we can always go back to it to remind us of how God is at work in our lives. There is a Latin saying which says, verba volant, scripta manent. Spoken words fly, written words remain. If God has blessed us and helped us before, always bear in mind that He will still continue to bless and help us now. Have a gratitude notebook where you can write down all the great things God has been doing in your life. Try to make it an everyday practice. Look out for the surprises from God and list at least 10 things that happen that you are grateful for. Third is E, for enjoy God's blessings. Many people have been blessed but never enjoyed the blessings of God since they are afraid to lose them or break them. Sometimes they will buy things but only for keeps, or they acquire them only to show off. I remember that when we were still kids, our nanay had this attitude. We never enjoyed playing with our toys because my mother was afraid that we would break them. Thus, most of the time, our toys were just for our eyes to see but not for our hands to play. In Tagalog, we call it pinopoon yung mga gamit. But remember, the reason why God blesses us is because He wants us to enjoy our life. Some people buy good things only to hoard them and not to use them. It's funny how very often I hear people say, I want to save money for my old age so that when I get sick, I have something to use for my medicine. Somehow I wonder, why not use your money now to enjoy your life instead of being anxious, anticipating that you will spend your money when you are old and sick? Remember, God is always here to provide for us. So, let us enjoy our blessing now. Huwag tayong matakot na maubos dahil ang Diyos ay hindi nauubusan ng biyaya. Fourth is S, for share God's blessing. Another reason why God bless us is for us to share it with others. St. Thomas Aquinas had this axiom, bonum est diffusivum sui. The good pours itself out. We can only enjoy our blessings to the extent that we share them with others. Always leave a space for people to have a place in your heart. And lastly, S, for seek honor only from God. One of the important things to remember if we have shared God's blessing with others is not to seek praise or approval of others, but seek honor only from God. Jesus said, when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your almsgiving may be secret, and your Father who sees in secret will repay you. Who among us do not want to be recognized or acknowledged if we have done something good? It's normal. However, the thirst for recognition should not be our motivation to make acts of charity. The fact that we are able to share our blessings is enough source of joy already. Plus, don't forget the reward that God has in store for those who know how to do good to other people. Gratitude brings us closer to God. When we thank God for His goodness, we become aware in the highest level of consciousness not only of the presence of God, but also of His loving providence. The more we thank God, the more we become disposed to receive His blessings. Parang frequency na galing sa satellite, pag dispose tayo, mas maganda ang reception natin. Gratitude makes us always feel good, and when we appreciate our blessings, we attract more blessings into our lives. When we recognize God as the source of our supply, we become totally dependent on Him, and we can expect Him to shower us with His graces and blessings. The Father knows how to give good things to His children. How can we live in gratitude? Just say, "Thank you, Lord." Meister Eckhart, a German mystic, once said, "If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough." We often hear the saying, "Count your blessings." One of the aids that I find helpful in counting God's awesome work in my life is by using the rosary as my gratitude bead. Before I go to sleep, I use the rosary to review my life and revisit the sacred moments when I experienced the loving care, overflowing abundance, and protection of God. And at the end, I can only say what Mary said in the Magnificat: "The Lord has done great things for me, and holy is His name." To enjoy a richly blessed life, let us live in gratitude. As the prophet Jeremiah invites us, let us always give thanks to the Lord of hosts, for the Lord is good, His mercy endures forever.